Thank you so much for coming. I'm Connie Hartke from Rescue Reston. I'm the president. Rescue Reston is a group of dedicated volunteers whose sole purpose is to defend the 166 acres of recreational open space in Reston known as Reston National Golf Course. We sprung up 2.5 years ago when we became aware of a threat to the golf course by the current owners who had put an inquiry in. This is July of 2012. They had inquired to the Department of Planning and Zoning, the zoning administrator. They were just trying to confirm that they had the ability to come in and bulldoze the 166 acres and turn it into medium density housing. The zoning administrator replied with, no, you don't have that right. It is zoned as permanent open space for recreation such as a golf course, a park, or a nature center. The attorney for the owners of the golf course are appealing that decision, and that's what brings us to today. On January 21st, there will be a hearing at the Fairfax County Government Center in the auditorium at 9 in the morning. The only item on their agenda is this topic. The question at hand is simply, is the golf course zoned as permanent open space for recreation, or is it not? Our county zoning administrator says it is, and Rescue Reston and Reston Association and many others agree with the zoning administrator. The Board of Zoning Appeals, let me just explain quickly what that is. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a seven individuals, independent. They are appointed by the circuit court. So they're not county staff, they're not political appointees, they're a bit of a wild card. It's very important for anyone who cares about open space, and particularly our Reston recreational open space, to come to this hearing if you can. Wear a bright yellow. We have this bright yellow shirt. Your jacket, ma'am, would be fine, that bright yellow jacket. When these 7 members of the Board of Zoning Appeals are sitting there, we want them to look out, and it's a huge auditorium, and we want them to see visually the support that this region, it's not just people in Reston, it's the entire region. I know of a golfer from Falls Church who was going to be there that morning. We want them visually to see the support the community has for our zoning administrator. Now, take a moment I just want to tell folks a little bit about the golf course. Some are not as familiar as others. The Reston National Golf Course is the privately owned public course just a block east of here. If you continue down Sunrise Valley Drive, if you travel Sunrise Valley Drive to the east, just a few blocks, when the Sheraton and Weston and the tall International building is on your right, on your left, if you look to the right, you'll see the open space and fairways of Reston National Golf Course. It is an amenity used by many. It's used by our wildlife. It's very important to them. It is used by runners, walkers. There are Reston Association paths that cross. If you go out there, if you were out there last night or this morning before school or this afternoon after school, you will see people sledding, people cross-country skiing. It is a year-round recreational amenity for this area. It is also home to this beautiful tree here. It is a native black gum tree, one of the largest in Virginia. It is also home to the South Lakes High School golf course teams. Now, it's a little difficult to get your head around who's appealing what to whom. So we've come up with a sports analogy, a lineup, if you will. of who the home team is, who the away team is for the day of the Board of Zoning Appeals. So on the home team, whoops, okay. All right, on the home team, key player, star player, the Fairfax County Department of Planning and Zoning will be represented by Kathy Belgian, senior administrator senior assistant to the zoning administrator. Kathy will be supported by her team, and they will be explaining to this Board of Zoning Appeals all of their reasoning why they determined that the golf course, which has been part of Reston, both golf courses have been part of the plan since the inception. Supporting members on the team, besides the crowd in the audience wearing their bright yellow shirts, will be Rescue Reston, represented by the attorney, land use attorney Randy Green from Greenham, Taves, Pandeck, and Stoner. This says a lot about the situation. We, meaning all of the Rescue Reston supporters, which are in Reston, outside of Reston, even some that have moved overseas have contributed. Folks have contributed the funding, enough funding that Mr. Greenham is able to put forth a, what did you call it, David?
It's a letter that he's filing supporting the planning and zoning administrator's decision.
David Burns is on the Rescue Reston board, and he is an attorney, and so he's our volunteer attorney helping him. So we'll have that council there. We'll submitting information. Also, Reston Association, represented by Mr. John McBride of Odin Feldman Piddleman, and John is here today, I think. He was. Yes, there's John. He too will be submitting something in support of, because Reston Association is also totally behind the zoning administrator in supporting that these 166 acres cannot be developed, residential or commercial. Now, the away team. This has been really taken some digging to understand. The names that you will hear at the Board of Zoning Appeal, the name you will hear is RN Golf Management. RN Golf Management is the name on the paperwork of the owner of the property. Not unusual in some land deals that the real owners hide behind a shell company. Through digging over 2 years ago, we learned that the majority owner is Northwestern Mutual. Northwestern Mutual in 2005 bought into the golf course for $5 million. Northwestern Mutual is a very large, very successful, usually very respected insurance and investment company. That $5 million is not even a rounding error on their balance sheet. Nobody needs to feel sorry for them. In fact, several folks that I communicated with wrote Northwestern Mutual, they're policyholders, wrote the CEO of Northwestern Mutual, explained, here's my policy numbers with you. Also, I live on the golf course, you're ruining that investment of mine. They have not received the courtesy of a reply. That was a little shocking. And this one of the letters I know was 2 years ago, so it's not like, oh, he just hasn't replied yet. That's how little this $5 million investment means to Northwestern Mutual. So you'll hear RN Golf Management is what you'll hear at the BZA hearing. They are represented by attorney Frank McDermott of Hunton and Williams. And then there's the real thing that has caused all of this, the undisclosed developer. That is what has caused this really to come up. Reston National Golf Course, just down the street, is really close to the new metro. We've got a new metro, and this developer is dying to develop it. There's a saying that, you know, a developer has never seen a piece of open space that they didn't think was a piece of wasted space. So that's the situation here. So I have told you now, hope this clarifies, and we've got handouts of this, helps out a little bit with, you know, who the home team is, so who's on first, and maybe in a little bit we'll get to what's on second. Now, most of you living in Reston know this, but I'm going to cover it a bit for the media. Reston's open space is what makes it unique. It was a planned community from its beginning. It continues to be planned. In fact, it's going through its master comprehensive plan. I'll come back to that in a minute, but what makes Reston so unique is residential housing was concentrated and open space was concentrated. Reston doesn't have a lot of homes with big yards. The residential was concentrated, commercial was concentrated, so that there was room for concentrated open space. On the north side of Reston, we have Hidden Creek Golf Course. Oh, just real quickly, this is the toll road. This is the toll road. This is Reston Parkway. This is Wheelie. The purple that's the area around the toll road and the new metro centers that is zoned for that's where the really high density is that's coming. The population of Reston will be doubling over the course of the next 20, 30 years. An additional 50,000 residents. The open space outside of the purple area is very key. So besides the two golf courses, here's Reston National Golf Course on the south side. There's also the Walker Nature Center, which is a very important part of open space, and then the 4 lakes that Reston has. We are in a much stronger, Reston, are in a much stronger position today than we were 2 years ago when this battle first came up. 2 years ago, phase 1 of the Reston Master Plan was still being debated and worked on. The task force was going. But last year, phase 1 was approved by the Board of Supervisors. And phase 1 specifically said that for the new residents coming into this area, the county is relying on the existing recreational space in the greater Reston community. That is provided by Reston Association and private recreation, which is our golf courses along with skating rinks and other things. So that really puts us in a stronger position than we were 2 years ago. Another thing that's going on is right now we're in phase 2 of the Reston Master Plan. The Board of Supervisors will be approving this presumably later this year. There's some very specific text in there. First of all, on neighborhoods in general, with a few exceptions that are called out. The draft text is saying that neighborhoods should stay as is, meaning if they're developed for this, if the development should stay as is. So nobody's going to be tearing down a single-family home and putting in a high-rise. The other very, very key piece in the phase 2 draft is our planning folks want to make it very clear, since there seemed to be some misunderstanding before, they want to make it very clear that the golf courses in Reston, both of them, are planned for private recreation use. If this is approved by the Board of Supervisors, and I expect that it will be, because I tell you, this wording would not be in there now if our supervisor didn't want it in there. Okay. This should send a very strong message to any land speculators that look at Reston's open space and think that they've got a different plan for it. So, the star of the show on the 21st, Fairfax County Department of Planning and Zoning, Kathy Belgian. the supporting cast, Rescue Reston, and I hope that will be many of you and lots more, and the Reston Association.